Hey, what's good YouTube? Welcome back to the Brown Gen. In this video, I'm finally going to cover the virtual Genesis launches. This flywheel has been making us a ton of money over the last couple of days and weeks. I'm going to walk you through the process so that you're familiar, you know how to qualify, you know how to earn the points called the Virgin points to access these pre-sales, and then how exactly to navigate them. So let's get into it. Before we do, as always, remember nothing I say is financial advice. I'm just a guy on YouTube. Make sure you also hit the like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. While we're at it, if you want extra coaching, guidance, and support, you can find my paid services linked down below. So I'm going to show you sort of one of the really good follows in this space. This is ICO Beast. You might know him from the Blast ecosystem, but basically, he's been talking a lot about these Genesis launches as well. I joined WIM earlier today as well, and so did he. And basically, a lot of people have been printing 3, 4, 5-figure wins because most of these games are typically somewhere between 7 to 15x your entry price. Now, obviously, this sounds way too good to be true, and it slightly is, because you don't just get to put in whatever money you want. You need to have what's called Virgin points, and they allocate to you how much money you're able to put in. Obviously, the more demand there is for a launch, the more points it will take to get the same allocation. So there's a bit of a strategic thing you can do here, obviously. Let me walk you through how all this works. So when we go to the Virtuals webpage, here is the Genesis launch page. You have Genesis launches, you have sentient agents and prototype agents. When I covered this platform a couple of months ago, I think it was January, we didn't have Genesis launches. And the biggest issue was most of these tokens were being sniped and dumped. So there was actually almost no point to buying into these AI agents. That being said, every so often, there's going to be a Genesis launch. You can see the next one is in 13 hours and 23 minutes, Frez. And that's when you can start sort of allocating. Then you have Copti AI, etc. And you see these things all have different start timings. Now, obviously, it would be nice to jump into every single one of them. Unfortunately, you're not able to do that. Now, let me show you, before we get into sort of the point system, the previous launches. So this was the one that just happened earlier today. So WimBet basically had a 1,000% oversubscribed. That means 10 times as much demand as sort of the supply that was available. Usually what oversubscription does is it gives you a very good indicator on how well the price of these tokens will do once they're on the free market. Now, one of the things I always say about oversubscription models is if they don't let you withdraw your subscription, you might as well wait until later on, because you get the most information. But we'll talk about that in a second. Now, these Genesis launches, in order to get into them, you will need what's called Virgin points. You need to pledge Virgin points. So what will happen is, let's say I want to know how many points I have. What I would do is I would go to this right up here and I click on this for 0 points. This will take me to the points dashboard. You can see here my Virgin points is sitting at 0 currently. I click on the view points history and I can see sort of how I've gotten points over the couple of weeks this has been going on, and also when I pledged them. So this was me pledging on WimBet earlier today. That being said, there are multiple ways to earn points. You can earn points by yapping, which is likely the best way to do it. Let me sort of show you an example why. So this is a tweet I put out yesterday. Now, just for context, I hold 10,000 virtual, right? And if you look at the way the point system works, you can get points from yapping, joining Genesis launches, buying Genesis agents, holding virtual or trading virtual agents. Well, I hold or hodl a lot of virtual token. In fact, I have at current prices now $20,000 worth of virtual tokens. I only get 800 points a day. I also staked Vader, which I will show you how to do after, and I get 2 points for $500 worth of Vader that I've locked up for 6 months. Is that really worth it? But then I look at this and I make content and I get 9,000 points. It makes it very clear where the opportunity is, especially when people aren't doing it that much. In fact, I've been sort of shouting it from the rooftops for people I know to do this, because while I believe this is a fantastic flywheel, I don't think it will last forever. The only reason that these have printed so well is because the competition has not really been there. Once people start finding out more and more about this, it's so hard to consistently get like 7 to 15 X's, right? It's just very, very hard. Now, you can also sort of stake Vader tokens, like I said. You can stake recognized agents or HODL agents, right? Now, the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to sell your Genesis agents. What they don't want people to do basically is you jump into a Genesis launch with your points, you sell those Genesis agent tokens, you get your 15x or whatever. But if you're only doing that, you're looked at as being somewhat extractive. So what they do is they put you on a TP cooldown. I believe it's for 8 days. It's horrible. I was in it for a day and a half before they got rid of it. They did it, as a one-time thing, a get out of jail card free, I guess. But you basically just don't sell these tokens. These tokens will still do well, and you can sell it after a couple days for the most part, and pretty much even get more money, because the better launches, when you hold, they keep going up, like Gloria or BIOS. Those are some examples. So this is what the point system looks like. I'm going to show you some more in a second, but one thing you should do is go to view profile, and under profile, you can go ahead and sort of connect your X account. This is going to be very important when you YAP. If you don't connect your X account, it's impossible for them to connect it. Also, when you go to Genesis launches up here, you can see like how much points you pledged, how much virtual you committed, how much tokens you received. And just so you know, I'm going to go through sort of how you do this. But typically, you will always end up over committing more virtual than you need, typically for most people, and then you'll just get refunded any excess. So people are always confused on, I put 100 virtual token in, I got this many tokens, I sold it, got 300 virtual, and then I got sent back 95 or 80 or something. And the reason for that is they refund you any excess tokens, which is a really cool and neat thing. So going through this, one of the things you should automatically do if you're watching this video, my recommendation is just start making content on virtual. So you do something like this, right? You can sort of type whatever, make a summary about virtuals, talk about your experience, whatever it may be. Then go and basically submit that for YAP. So what you do is you go back to the points dashboard and you click on this. You go to YAP about virtual and virtual agents on X. You hit submit now. And this takes you to a form. And in this form, you basically fill it out, right? It says ensure your X account is linked to your virtual profile, right? So we've done that. Then you continue. Yep, it's linked, You then put in the address. Hold on, I'm going to put something in here because otherwise it won't let me move forward. Once I do that, I'm not going to hit OK because it's going to submit, but then you put your Twitter handle in, and then you submit. It'll take around 72 hours for them to do it. It's pretty good. Okay. So these are some of the easiest ways to earn points. Like I said, it's very clear when you look at this where the real value is on points earning. And, going back to the profile, you can see here are all the tokens that I hold. These are not virtual tokens it's looking at, but just AI agents. So I should be getting points from holding these now as well. And we've already gone through my points history, but now what we can do is let's go back to AI agents, and we go to Genesis launch, and we go here. Now, unfortunately, at the time I'm making this video, there is no ability to sort of pledge points, but let me sort of walk you through how this will work. There will be a dialog box on the right. And what will happen is you will literally type in, and let me actually find it. Let me just go find it on Twitter. Okay, So here's the example I want to show you. So basically, you're going to see this box, okay? Basically, pledge amount, which is, the points you have. I recommend doing max, especially if it's a launch that you are very excited about. I'm going to talk to you about how you find those good launches. And when you do that, it will recommend a suggested virtual to commit. And obviously, like I said, the amount of virtual that will be used will keep going down the less points you have and the more demand there is, right? So obviously, sometimes it's going to be a horrible ratio. And that's why it's very important to be strategic on most launches. Unless you know it's going to be a cook either way, then it doesn't really matter. And sort of, I'm going to include this here, which basically talks about all of this. So you do this, you pledge your points, you commit your virtual. Once you've done that, you've got to wait until the launch happens. Within, a few minutes after the timer runs out, the launch happens. It says finalizing. So you'll see on this page, like I said, it's not here right now, but basically this will be finalizing here. And once it's available, there'll be a swap option here, as well as a claim option. Sometimes the API is laggy, so you may have to wait a little longer to claim. Only once you hit the claim button will you receive the tokens. And at that point, the virtual token will get refunded to your wallet. This may take up to 10 minutes for you to get the virtual back. So just be aware and don't freak out if you haven't got it yet. Now, when we're taking a look at what launches to get into, I think the best resources for that, I obviously already showed you ICO Beast, but I think the best resource, the one that I use the most, is Degen Ape Trader. Had the best strategies for all of these token generation events, and basically is pretty much a maxi on virtuals, right? So I will not be posting a ton on virtuals. I'll be posting here and there, but there's a lot of analysis done here on sort of the team and all of these things. So it's actually like very, very good, sort of what you see. And then on top of it, you also have Vader research once again as well. So they will also be talking a bit about those launches, and you'll be able to tell from there which ones are good. From these two, I was able to discern that Gloria was very good, and so was WIM. In fact, Gloria basically has continued to go up after the launch, and the expectation is WIM will be more of the same. So this makes it easy for you to not cheat your bags, because you'll also keep gaining. So you're going to keep getting points, and you're also going to keep making profit. Now, obviously, if it's a substantial amount that you've already made, right? Let's say you put in $1,000, you made it like 25K. Yeah, sell it. Who cares? You're in jail for 8 days. So be it. Whatever. It really depends on how much money that means to you. Now, one of the things I will tell you is when you are looking to swap, one thing you have to be careful about, let me just go back here, and I'll do this on an agent that is currently live so I can show you. So let's go to WIM, right? So WIM was one that just happened today. So we'll go here, and this is the page you'll see. And let's take a look over here, right? So I basically committed about 7 virtual, and I've gotten currently, what is it sitting at? 132, right? Insane gains. I'm holding it because I want to keep getting the Genesis points, the diamond holding, and don't want to be in jail. But when you're doing these trades, keep in mind that it uses Kyber Swap, and Kyber Swap's API is so bad that it only basically steals from you. So if there's a fluctuation and sort of it will be in your favor, they keep all the surplus. You don't get any of it. So my recommendation when you're doing this is just find the contract address of whatever token and use something like Gecko Terminal to look them up. And then you can trade on any of these exchanges, whether it's Uniswap, Maestro. I would not use Kyber Swap, obviously. One of these two is fine. I typically use Uniswap. So right here, you can see this is me being able to trade for Vader. So it's very, very easy. And by the way, if you do want to stake Vader, here's the website. Once again, not the best returns. In fact, one of the things I am doing is I am holding a bunch of Vader token to flip, because I expect this token to go up significantly as people, what's going to happen is more people will yap, making it a lot harder to earn points that way. People will then start stacking more Vader to try to stake and earn points that way, which will lead to less sell pressure on Vader, this price going up, and then I will sort of take profits on Vader. I believe it's currently sitting, where is it, 42 million market cap. A lot of the experts are saying like 250 million market cap is completely reasonable for that. And just take a look at where we are versus all-time highs. Now, one last thing I do want to say is this entire platform is based on the virtual token. So virtual pro, like this token had a massive drawdown, and it started to recover. You will have to have virtual token to bid. So my recommendation is, once you have your points and you're doing all of this, make sure you figure out how many points you have. You go to pledge, see what it's suggesting you commit. Maybe you buy like a little bit more virtual on top of it, but pretty much you can submit the exact amount that it's recommending, because it shouldn't sort of go up. It should only go down. Okay. Now, the last thing I'll say is, remember, we want to be strategic here. So especially on the virtuals ecosystem, there's no edge to getting in early. Unless you're going to forget about it, my recommendation is waiting until later. Why? Because you have more information. You have more information to decide, okay, do I want to jump in? The points conversion is awful. So maybe you say, okay, I'm not going to do it, right? The problem is, if you pledge early, you get in early, it doesn't matter if it says suggested virtual to commit is like 100, it will go down and you will get a way bigger refund and a way smaller allocation regardless. You get the same allocation because it only calculates it at the end. So there's no edge to going early unless you're going to forget. So I hope you found this video helpful. As always, hit the like button. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Share the video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, I'll see you later. Thanks again for watching.